Now, President Trump continues to melt down at the idea of an impeachment inquiry that has been launched by Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats. And of course, he is taking it in the most Trump way possible. Uh, now, look, he took to Twitter as he's wont to do, uh, and he's had some outbursts. The latest ones should be kind of concerning because now he has suggested the arrest of a Democratic congressman. Now, this congressman would be House Intelligence Committee Chairman Adam Schiff. So here's his tweet. He said Representative Adam Schiff illegally made up a fake and terrible statement, pretended it to be mine as the most important part of my call to the Ukrainian president, and read it aloud to Congress and the American people. It bore no relationship to what I said in the call. Arrest for treason. Oh, no, look, that's a serious charge. But look, what that statement is, I think it's likely when Trump asked for a favor from President Vladimir Zelensky. And that favor, and actually I think there are two favors in there, investigate CrowdStrike to find Hillary's missing server, and then more importantly, investigate Joe Biden and his son Hunter. So now on Biden and his son, that is systemic corruption. Now, systemic corruption by nature is not illegal because it's literally in the system. It is how the system is rigged against you and I. So he gets a lot of money, $50,000 for sitting on the board. Hunter Biden does of this Ukrainian gas company. And now Biden, with of course the backing of the international community and the United States government, um, went and called for the removal of a prosecutor that was looking into that company. Now that benefited, of course, Hunter Biden as he continued to get money from this company. And there's a massive conflict of interest. But again, that is systemic corruption. It's an example of what is of corruption that is basically legal. Okay, all right. So look, you want to have a conversation about eliminating that systemic corruption? Well, that's a wonderful conversation. I would love to have that, and let's actually do something about it. Because I look around the U.S. government, and everywhere there is systemic corruption. Now that is different than Donald Trump's corruption, and that is personal corruption. Now, personal corruption is basically an example of what Donald Trump has been doing for quite some time and what he got caught allegedly doing on this phone call to Zelensky, saying, "Hey, look, we've been very good to you. We've been very, very good to Ukraine, but it has not been reciprocal." And again, this is while Trump was holding up $400 million, near $400 million in military aid against, by the way, Russia, which is already annexed a part of Ukraine. So they're a little bit worried about Ukraine coming in. And so they need that money for defensive purposes, right? And the United States was providing that money to the Ukrainians. Well, so now Trump holds it up. He makes Mnuchin, the OMB, uh, hold up that money, that payment that Congress already authorized. And then they have this call. We've been very good to you, but you haven't been good to us. Now, we've been better than the EU, of course. And Zelensky says, yes, you've been so much better than the EU. And you know what we're going to do? We're going to buy missiles from you. We're going to buy javelins. Trump says, no, you know what I need a favor of? CrowdStrike. Find that server. And then Joe Biden's got a corruption problem here. Why don't you investigate that for me? Because many people want to know. So that right there, look, investigating and asking a foreign country to investigate your political rivals, that is corruption. But you know why? Because that will help, supposedly help your reelection chances, your political reelection chances. So massively problematic. All right. So now, this tweet again follows another one where Trump urged an investigation into Adam Schiff for treason, supposed the charge of treason. Now, what did Adam Schiff do that would merit treason? I haven't seen nothing illegal that Adam Schiff has done. But since it's against Donald Trump, it must be treason. Now I'm thinking of that I'm sorry. Now I'm thinking of it's treason. Then, yeah, it's Star Wars. Okay, I'm a nerd. Anyway, it's a serious crime, though. It's the act of working against your own country. You guys know that, and the punishment is death. So that's again super serious, right? Very dangerous allegation, and of course, in the case of Adam Schiff, without merit, completely without merit. And I'm not like a huge fan of Adam Schiff, but anyway, it gets worse. Trump also had quoted Pastor Robert Jeffress. Now, Robert Jeffress, over the weekend, said that impeachment will cause a civil war. He said, civil war like fracture in this nation from which our country will never heal. Okay. So now Jeffress, he's an insane person. He thinks that abortion caused 9/11, that gay sex makes people explode, all sorts of crazy things. I'm not kidding. He once compared gay sex to plugging like a TV or something into the wrong type of outlet that makes it explode, like a 220. Yeah, that's crazy. But the guy is totally nuts. But now, unfortunately, he has an air of legitimacy because the president of the United States will retweet his nonsensical ramblings. And so, what of course is obviously dangerous about that is that there are people who are out there who are heavily armed and that have been stocking up on guns, making bombs, and are looking at actually starting a second civil war. Now, I'm talking about these white supremacists, right? So now, just last week, by the way, an army soldier was arrested for wanting to kill left-wing figures. They've been going after Antifa and Beto O'Rourke. Now, look, I don't agree with Antifa, obviously. I don't agree with their methods, right? And so, okay, there's a little bit of disagreement there, but they're not a terrorist group. Name one person that they've murdered. They, look, again, they're problematic, but they're not equal to right-wing terror. In fact, look, every domestic terror attack that happened in the United States was inspired, and that's in 2018 alone, was right-wing. So we don't have this gigantic issue of left-wing domestic terrorism. I mean, I think the worst is, again, an Antifa guy punches out a white supremacist versus, of course, these massive right-wing attacks that kill many people. There's no equal here. It's way imbalanced. Okay, anyway. So now, Jeffress also told Fox News the Democrats, quote, no, the only impeachable offense that President Trump has committed was beating Hillary Clinton in 2016. I know, clever, right? That's the unpardonable sin for which the Democrats will never forgive him. Now, Hillary Clinton lost because she was a terrible candidate. Yes, did she win the popular vote? Yes. But look, again, the Electoral College is an absolute disaster. I would get rid of it in a day if I could. So, nonetheless, he did win the Electoral College. And she ran a terrible campaign. She didn't campaign in Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Right? But no, this is not it. And that's the problem here. Right? In reality, Donald Trump is incredibly corrupt. He is knee-deep in personal corruption. Now, again, the difference between himself and the Clintons was personal versus systemic corruption. Also applicable to Joe Biden with his systemic corruption. And the Clintons made billions of dollars off politics, right? They got incredibly rich, incredibly powerful off politics. Systemic corruption. You want to have a conversation and getting rid of that systemic corruption? I am all for it. A lot of it has to do with getting money out of politics and also money out of the media. But anyway, that corruption, Donald Trump's corruption, of which this Ukraine thing is an example of, has gotten to a level that even Republicans are not able to ignore. Again, you have Mitt Romney calling it out. And you have Adam Kinzinger. Now, Adam Kinzinger is an Illinois Republican. Now, he had some very strong words. And this is one of the newest condemnations from a Republican. He said, and this was on Twitter, that he has visited nations ravaged by civil war. Donald Trump and he tweeted at Donald Trump. He said, "I have never imagined such a quote to be repeated by a president. This is beyond repugnant." Now, Kinzinger, I do not agree with his policy positions. Obviously, he's a Republican. I'm a progressive. We don't agree on much, right? But man, I got to give him credit. He's ballsy. It is really ballsy for a president to come out and denounce, or I'm sorry, for a Republican to come out and denounce the president with such strong words. You don't see that from the Republican side. So, yeah, I give him a lot of credit. Now, because right now, most of the elected officials, elected Republicans, are absolute cowards. Did you know that if an impeachment vote were held today in the Senate, 35 Republicans would vote for it, but only if it were a private vote, a secret ballot. So we wouldn't know which Republicans voted in favor. Absolute cowardice. That's over half of the Republicans in the caucus in the Senate. So that's not a minor number. It's not like, 2 or 3 would be okay with impeachment, would vote in favor of impeachment if it went to the Senate. No. That's 35 of the over 50 Republicans. But again, only if it's a secret ballot. So there is an appetite among Republicans for impeachment. And they're starting to come around because at some point, you can no longer stay silent or defend the indefensible like this. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a patreon.com/TYTNation set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent, progressive media.